SKOL Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fans, what's happening behind the scenes in Minnesota is anything but routine. A perfect weekend opened the door to ruining a rival's season, but unfortunately, a key piece of the offense left with a hand injury, and that could trigger a real domino effect. Medical updates are coming, and the backup just sent an unexpected message, and on Christmas, everything lines up to send a division rival straight to the couch. But before we break down every detail of this rundown, real quick, subscribe to the channel. It's free, and it helps us keep Vikings news coming every single day. Drop a like too, because that helps YouTube push the next video your way. And share your opinion. This is your space to say whatever you want. Look at how the NFL loves messing with our heads. We're out of the playoff race, but suddenly there's a beautiful path to ruining someone's Christmas. And this time the target is crystal clear, the Detroit Lions. And as a bonus, the Green Bay Packers can start sweating too. The weekend fell right into Minnesota's lap. The Packers completely melted down in Chicago. The Lions slipped at home. Then you look at the standings and think, wait, so we can actually flush them? Yes, we can. If the Vikings beat the Lions on Christmas, it's over. Detroit is eliminated. Clean, cold, no poetry. And I know some fans say, yeah, but that hurts the draft. It does. Of course it does. 3 straight wins already pushed the pick lower, right around the middle of the first round. If they keep winning, it drops even more. If they lose out, it moves up. But to be honest with you, some things matter more than calculating draft picks like a spreadsheet. Watching a rival cry on the 25th has a flavor you can't explain. Now, if the Vikings lose to the Lions, there's still another evil script to root for. Cheering for the Baltimore Ravens to go into Lambeau and handle business. Baltimore is barely alive, so they'll play that game like it's the postseason. If Green Bay loses and Detroit wins the following week, you get that movie scenario. The Vikings with a chance to end the Packers season in the final week. I laugh to myself just picturing their faces. But this is Vikings football. Nothing comes easy. The Christmas game is at home, US Bank Stadium, and Detroit is coming desperate. They cannot lose. Desperation makes teams play aggressive. They go for it on 4th down. They dial up trick plays, everything. That's when I want to see our defense with blood in their eyes. Pressure on the quarterback, hands on the ball, and that's it. When a rival starts thinking too much, you squeeze the life out of the game. And let me tell you something, there's a very specific way to win games like this. It's not just wanting it more. It's starting fast, it's scoring early, and it's making the Lions feel like the stadium is against them from the first snap. The crowd in purple and gold has to turn that place into a polite kind of hell. No drama, just noise and pure competitive hate. Talk to me in the comments. Would you rather eliminate Detroit on Christmas or dream about the final blow to Green Bay in the last week? Because I'm torn. And that doesn't happen often. Stick with me. The next story changes the mood completely. A big name, a hurt hand, and it could shake the entire offense. Now let's get to the part that ties your stomach in knots. J.J. McCarthy left the game against the Giants with a right hand injury. And this is not just a quarterback problem. It hits everyone who lives on timing, trust, and passing rhythm. The situation was clear. McCarthy went to the locker room in the first half. He never came back. Later, they said the X-rays showed no fracture, but he was scheduled for an MRI to understand the real damage. And you know how that goes. When they say, we'll see after the exam, it means no one wants to commit. For the fans, that's torture. If McCarthy can't play, the conversation changes immediately, because the name stepping in is Max Brosmer. And I'm not going to pretend it's the same, it's not. On the field, reads change. Play calling courage changes. Everything changes. The opposing defense smells it. They load the box. They squeeze short routes. And they say, fine, beat us with the rookie's arm. It's chess, except the pieces are huge and they hit you. And look at who feels it too. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, even Jalen Naylor when he gets involved. Because it's not just about catching the ball, it's about catching it the right way, at the right time, in the right spot. When the quarterback changes, the offense feels like a car you know well, but the steering wheel pulls to one side. There's something that really gets to me. Jefferson is the kind of player you always want on the field. But when the offense stalls, he becomes a double-team magnet and still depends on the ball arriving clean. That's when frustration kicks in. You see him creating separation. You see him asking for the ball, and it doesn't come. Or it comes late. The drive dies. The defense goes back out. And you're stuck in that ugly loop of stalled football. And yes, I know some people are thinking about fantasy too. I get it. That's part of it. But what matters to me is the real Vikings. Losing McCarthy now means losing 2 massive weeks of experience against division rivals. This was his chance to grow under real heat. Then the hand injury pulls the plug. Now, if the MRI says it's just a bruise and he can grip the ball safely, great. But if there's any risk of making it worse, I don't see a reason to force it. The season is already what it is. You don't gamble with the hand of your future quarterback, and that's where the next story heats up, because there's a medical update, there's input from Kevin O'Connell, and there are details about how this happened, and honestly, those details change how you view the team's decision. Then comes the update that leaves everyone on edge. It involves testing, it involves the head coach, and it involves that dreaded let's be cautious that never actually calms anyone. J.J. McCarthy went through x-rays. No fracture showed up, but the team chose to go further and ordered an MRI on his right hand. When that happens, it means there's real concern. Kevin O'Connell confirmed everything. He explained that the injury happened before a key play. McCarthy said he felt fine. He tried to continue, but on the next drive, the pain fully showed up. At that point, there's no hero ball solution. A hand is everything for a quarterback. It hits helmets, it hits arms, it hits defenders' shoulders. One wrong impact can turn into something bigger. What weighs the most is the timing. Only 2 games left, both against division rivals. Games that still say a lot about growth, composure, and development. Even without playoff stakes, the plan was clear. Get reps, get experience. Let the kid feel real pressure. Now that plan is hanging in the air, and that uncertainty spreads through the locker room. O'Connell said something that stood out to me. He reminded everyone that quarterbacks hurt their hands all the time. Sometimes it feels like nothing. Sometimes you only learn the severity later. That shows the team doesn't want to rush, but also doesn't want to hide information. They know forcing it now could cost months later. And nobody in Minnesota wants to watch the same movie again of a career derailed by a bad decision. To be honest with you, I would much rather see McCarthy on the sideline, healthy, than on the field trying to prove something he doesn't need to prove right now. He has already shown growth. He has shown better reads. He has shown courage. One Christmas game does not define his future. His future is defined by staying whole. And of course, that puts the spotlight back on Max Brosmer. If McCarthy is not 100%, the logical move is to shut it down. There's not much debate there. The team has to protect its investment. A quarterback's right hand is not a detail. It's the foundation. The fan base is split. Some want to see the kid play no matter what. Others are thinking long-term. That debate is healthy. It's fans arguing about the team's direction, not just the score that week. And that says a lot about who lives and breathes Vikings football. I want to know where you stand. Tell me in the comments if you would hit the brakes or if you would still put McCarthy out there if the exam comes back borderline. That kind of decision shapes the entire next season. And stay here. The next story has a name, an on-field answer, and a strong message from someone who came off the bench without asking permission. There's something I respect about a young player, getting hit hard and still showing up for the next snap. Max Brosmer did exactly that, and the way it happened, you can feel the locker room looking at him differently. Let's start with the trauma. His first start against the Seattle Seahawks was a disaster. 4 interceptions, very little production, and a 26-0 loss that still hurts to say out loud. That kind of game can shatter a rookie's confidence. And I've seen plenty of guys break that way. I'm too old to pretend otherwise. But against the New York Giants, the story changed. J.J. McCarthy leaves with a hand injury. Brosmer enters chaos, and he didn't try to be a hero. He kept it simple, he stayed safe, he went 7 of 9 for 52 yards. And most importantly, he led the drive that ended with Will Reichard's game-winning field goal. For a backup quarterback, that's gold. It's in the details. There was one play that summed it all up. He takes a sack on 2nd and long. Then comes 3rd and 17. The entire stadium holds its breath, and Brosmer finds Justin Jefferson for a 21-yard gain. It's not a highlight reel throw, it's a we're still alive throw. And those passes make a team believe. I also liked what he said afterward. He admitted the Seattle week was brutal. He said he had to learn from it. He talked about collective leadership, about veterans helping. There was even Brian O'Neill joking with him in the huddle, telling him to stop yelling the play so loud. I laughed. Because that's football. That's a team adjusting in real time. Speaking very clearly now, if McCarthy's MRI shows any warning signs, I don't want stubbornness. I want a cold, calculated decision. If it's Brosmer on Christmas, then make it Brosmer with a simple plan. Run the ball, play action, heavy protection, and a defense that bites, because you don't give gifts to a desperate rival. And here's the read you really only get from the stands. Sometimes the backup doesn't need to be better. He just needs to not ruin it. And if he delivers 1 or 2 big throws at the right time, like that one to Jefferson, that's enough to give the rest of the team a chance. The risk is obvious. Detroit will load the box. They will force Brosmer to think fast. They will hunt turnovers. Discipline becomes everything. Protect the ball. Don't force windows. Punt when you have to. That's quarterback maturity. Now hold on to this. The next story is the heaviest of the day. It's not just about ruining a rival's Christmas, it's a massive irony tied to the Detroit Lions and what this matchup meant not long ago. And when you combine that with McCarthy's situation, the tone changes completely. Man, think about the irony of all this. 1 year ago, the Vikings and Lions were fighting for something big. Now, on Christmas, the Vikings can hit a button and send the Detroit Lions home for good. The situation is brutal for them. They walk into US Bank Stadium knowing they cannot lose. And the playoffs are over. And let me tell you this, when a rival plays with that level of desperation, the game turns into a mix of courage and mistakes. That's when Minnesota has to stay cold. No gifts. Adam Patrick from the Viking age laid it out perfectly. Since the Vikings are not heading to the postseason, the least they can do is make sure Detroit doesn't either. And it hits harder because Minnesota already beat them once this season, back in Week 9 in Detroit. That day, J.J. McCarthy returned, controlled the game, and scored through the air. He also scored with his legs. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to silence the opposing stadium. That sticks in the Lions' heads whether they admit it or not. But now there's the detail that changes everything. McCarthy's hand injury. If he doesn't play, the script shifts, and the Lions will try to turn the game into a turnover trap. They want the Vikings to hand them the ball. That brings up my favorite fan debate. Do you want to win pretty, or do you want to win in a way that hurts them? I want the one that hurts them. To be honest with you, I don't care about pretty stats that day. I want to see the Vikings run with force, hit on tackles, bleed the clock, and make Detroit feel every third down. And when the moment comes, then you take the shot. A well-called play action, a quick ball to Justin Jefferson, and that's it. The building erupts, and I'll be yelling right along even if my voice gives out. The wildest part is remembering what this matchup used to be. Adam Patrick pointed out the irony himself. Late last season, this rivalry was tied to a massive game that impacted the top of the conference. Now, both teams might be watching the playoffs from the couch. That's not just the NFL cycle. That's a slap in the face of anyone who thought things were guaranteed. And I'll add more fuel to it. If the Vikings eliminate the Lions on Christmas, the entire division feels it. The Green Bay Packers look at it and think, wait, they're coming for us too. That's a message. That's defend the North energy, even without seeding on the line. So this is not just about Detroit, it's about identity. It's about closing the year by showing that when the Vikings take the field, nobody gets comfortable. And when I connect that with McCarthy's situation and Brosmer's response, I get one clear feeling. This roster is at a crossroads. Either it hardens or it fades. And that choice is staring them right in the face. At the end of the day, everything ties back to the same thread. The chance to ruin Detroit landed right in Minnesota's hands. J.J. McCarthy's hand injury cast a shadow over the offense. Kevin O'Connell is right to play it safe. And Max Brosmer answered like someone who wants more than just filling in. I'll say it clearly. This team might be out of the playoff picture, but it's not dead inside. If Christmas ends in a win, it sends a message to the entire division. Drop a comment. This space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go.